learned anything about your pitching staff this weekend?
Yeah, I think, Combsy has kind of done it in two different ways, both years, but I think he's kind of found some roadblocks or obstacles or things to figure out and has made adjustments. He's got some savvy to him. He's a hard worker. He's extremely coachable, and he's throwing the ball really well for us now, which everybody standing here, including him, know that's key for our team. And then, kind of still a little bit of frustration from, well, what else is down there, I think Snead has done a good job for us. We kind of know what we got with Stom. He's an older guy, and he had to fight through some soreness, so I don't think we got the real version of him until now. He's kind of gotten in a rhythm. And, Kirby throws strikes, cost of doing business. When you got a lead, you definitely want strikes, and sometimes they hit it, sometimes they don't, especially when they're one of the better guys in the country in Tommy White. So, I think as each week goes by, I think we feel more comfortable about the guys we've been using. We're eager to use a couple guys that we haven't. And then also, I think we feel more comfortable about maybe who belongs where and how we can just put these guys in a position to succeed.
You talked about yesterday's win being gutty. What was the overall personality of this team through this weekend, you feel like?
Just keep pushing forward. Again, whatever cliche you want to tie to that, but guys just kept moving in the right direction because, we never really had a big fireworks display on offense. Defensively, I don't think we played one game that was incredibly clean. Pitching at times, today with the one walk was huge, but, it wasn't the prettiest weekend overall. So just keep pushing in the right direction. And I think, too, there was a lot of guys that were just ready to play. I mean, my theme, I said to go on a tangent, I think it's proper to share what we were talking about in the outfield with the guys was today was about guys being ready to go physically and mentally. And Combs was down there all weekend, and we made him wait till the very last go of it. And he was ready to rock and roll and throw his stuff up there and see what happens. And it worked out well for him. And then, Bradkey, his at-bat allows a lot of different things to happen for our team. And, if I'm Bradkey, I transfer in from a JUCO. I want to be out there every single day. But his approach and his bounce and his spirit when he's in the cage before the game, even though he's not in the lineup, is exactly what you'd want. And then when he gets out there, is no more Mr. Nice Guy. He competes. And then the more important or most important guy for me, just because it's been 10 years since he's been here, is Ethan Payne. If people at the game, only understood how much time went into that bunt, not only just executing it, but making it look easy, it would blow your mind. But he's the very definition of what it takes to be a good baseball player. You got to do it day in and day out, regardless of what the result is. And he's going to have a special career in life when he's done with our time here.
How much do programs need guys like that? I mean, everybody talks about the stars and the guys that get drafted, but how much do programs need those guys too?
I think in order to achieve what the program we just played achieved last year, guys like Cade Beloso and other guys like that, any winning team I've been a part of, since I've been here, but I'm reflecting back on other ones. And then, times two, when it's gone awry, you don't have enough of those guys. I think you can always kind of point to a figure that maybe you see as a good team guy or whatever it might be, but he's a very unique one, and he's huge. I mean, it was much younger in his career. We decided to either bring him on trips or activate him on the roster because we thought he could help us a little bit on the field, but more he could help us, in the dugout, in the clubhouse. There's so much free time to baseball, and what goes on during 9 innings is the most important. Don't lose sight of that, but at the hotel, out to eat with the guys, their parents, talking in the locker room, at the hotel, all those spots. It's huge. And he's an influencer, not Instagram in a bikini or anything like that, but he's an influencer.
Speaking of Bradkey and Payne, just the team's ability and willingness to play small ball, how much is that kind of allowing your team to take that next step?
I think it adds to what we need to be able to do in different environments. I mean, eventually you win enough games to go to Hoover. It's the most fun place to play in the world. And in order to score down there, sometimes you got to play small ball. And then even in our park, where some people label it, I think unfairly, incredibly offensive, it depends on what day it is. It depends on who's pitching and other circumstances. So the more ways you can find a way to win and the more ways you can find a way to score, the more complete your team is. And I don't think we've kind of, going back to the pitching thing, the more we kind of got options down there in the bullpen as well. I think we're sorting through a lot of that and still building on top of what our foundation is of just a good group of guys that play hard, and they certainly have team chemistry. Well, that's great. We've had all those things for a while now. We need to keep, adding on attributes that'll help us win.
What's been different for Combs these last 2 outings?
I think pitching a little more instead of just throwing. But again, I kind of stay out of the master's way, Coach Anderson. And I think Combs has been determined to, first of all, get out there. At first, we labeled him, a certain situation, and it didn't pop up a whole bunch. So he really, didn't have an opportunity to get in that rhythm or get cozy out there. And hopefully the fact he was able to throw today allows that. And, I kind of went on another tangent with John about how inclusive a weekend is, or how all-inclusive, not Cancun or Tulum or anything, but everything counts. And Snead got hot on Friday and came out like a madman yesterday. So there was only so much he had to offer us today, and Combs doing what he did was enormous.
How big was it for Xander to be able to go the distance he went today and build on his past couple of SEC starts?
Yeah, I think it allows him to understand that we believe in him. I think last weekend was one where I think literally in the middle of the game I had to answer a question from a former coach that's really smart, like, why'd you take him out there? And we just went with what we think. I mean, we have so much, all these SEC teams have so much data and support staff and things like that, and at the end of the day you go with your gut. But our gut tells us anytime he's out there, we're good with whatever happens. And you could tell the vibe in the dugout. The guys love him when he's out there, and the position players certainly love playing behind him too. What were you going to say?
How much confidence do you have in Banky right now?
A lot. I was going to joke and say more than I should, just because he and I kind of rib each other. I guess I rib him more than he can do back to me because he wants to get in the games. But any situation. And, there's one moment this year, if I have any regrets at all, well, I guess there's several regrets. Anytime it doesn't work when you make a move, you second guess yourself or you wonder what you could have done different. But I can think of a key moment where he would have been perfect for that situation and we didn't use him. So that's my best way to describe it without BSing you. But he's got great presence, and he obviously has good stuff too, and he wants to be out there, and it's a resilient arm. We could have used him all 3 days, and he wants to be out there too. It was not a good look or a friendly look he gave me when I told him we were going to make a change. But again, we kind of went with what we originally planned to do and felt was best.
With Xander, just how much flexibility does that give you handling the bullpen going into the weekend, feeling like he can give you more than 2 innings?
I think it leaves you less scrambling in the other games. And again, I kind of already said to it, and I think our fans are becoming some of the best fans in the country for baseball. But there are some newbies. And I think, again, you still got to realize what goes on in a series. It's very difficult to win a series in general. So it made me nervous as all hell, our fans yelling sweep when the last hitter's still up. And there's plenty of Tommy White standing there waiting to do some damage. You know what I mean? So everything affects everything. And because you got a little bit of security there and you know a guy that's going to throw strikes and compete, it changes the conversations in the office and certainly some planning as well, and to our benefit.
Especially what the top 3 guys in your lineup are doing right now, kind of together as a trio.
Yeah, and I think together is the key word, the way they interact with one another. Obviously, Simo and Blake have a ton of history here together, but also just with the program. And then I've said it too many times, Billy fits in an odd way so well and gets along with those 2 guys a whole bunch that they're doing it together. And I think they realize how much we love having them, but probably how much of a headache they are when the game starts and you see those 3 guys are going to kick it off, and KT, when he's himself and not trying to do too much, is waiting in the wings as well. But those 3 guys are a headache for other people. And you talk about the weekend, the one thing we know is we've got those 3 guys to kickstart us anytime the game starts or the lineup rolls around.
What are the things that you like most about this team at the midpoint of SEC play? What are kind of those things still out there for you to see?
Yeah, again, I think that, we're kind of adding different ways that guys can help us, whether it is playing small ball, who's the best situational guy to pinch run. I think Ariel now is obviously a defender that I think can impact the game in a big way. So he's been useful. And I think some other guys have gotten past some early season trying to do too much or wondering what is their role. But there's still stuff up for grabs. Like I said, I think we're fighting to find, I told John, fighting to find our exact best, 9 guys, but it might change every day based on who's, on the mound over there and how guys are feeling. Like it or not, things kind of come in cycles, and guys do throw a little better as the season goes on, or a guy may have a hiccup or give up a run or two. So really, I just think it's a general theme of we've got a lot of things we can pile on a strong foundation, and I think the guys are willing and have the right attitude to move forward towards that.